Police in Torrance say they have cracked a nearly 50-year-old murder case thanks to DNA evidence, but the accused killer will never face justice. NBC4's Angie Crouch is live in Torrance to break it all down for us. Angie.
That's right. It's been quite an emotional day today for the family of little Terry Lynn Hollis, the child who was killed back in 1972, and for the Torrance Police Department, who never gave up trying to solve this case. 47 years after Terry Lynn Hollis was murdered, her killer has been identified.
I only wish that my parents were still alive to see this.
Randy Hollis was 16 years old when his 11-year-old sister Terry Lynn was kidnapped while riding her bicycle near the family's home on Dalemead Street in Torrance. The next day, her body was found on the rocks near Point Magoo. She'd been sexually assaulted and strangled. For years, Torrance police detectives searched for the child's killer with no luck. Then in the year 2000, Detective Jim Wallace, whose father had worked the original case, reopened the investigation.
I discovered a box which had been sitting in property for 30 years. And in it there was a small cardboard box crushed which contained a swab, a DNA swab for the suspect.
After traditional DNA analysis failed to find a match, Wallace sent the sample to Parabon Nano Labs in Virginia in 2015, which was able to tell from the DNA what the suspect would look like today. They came up with this composite sketch. Then they compared the DNA to public genealogy databases and found a relative of the unknown suspect. That led them to identify Jake Edward Brown, a drifter who would have been 36 at the time of the murder. He died in 2003 in Arizona. They exhumed his body and found after 47 years they had their man. Ray Gross, one of the original detectives on the case, broke down with relief today.
Thank God for this man. He left his children. It really means a lot.
Randy Hollis has a message for other families of unsolved crimes.
Don't lose the heart or the drive to get resolution. You just never know when something that can come up and lead to a case being solved.
Now, the Torrance Police Department really doesn't know what Jake Edward Brown was doing here in Torrance back in 1972, but they did tell us he was later arrested on drug and robbery charges, as well as 2 other rape cases. They're checking his DNA to see if he might be linked to any other local unsolved crimes. We're live in Torrance. Angie Crouch, NBC4 News.